Well, I think that's a great question, Donnie. I think the first thing we have to start with, Donnie, is setting the standard. The standard of what? The standard of behavior,
Behavior.
a standard of how we will treat and respect one another, the standard of how we are as people, human to human, setting the standard. The mayor has to set the standard, and this becomes the mental model or the code of conduct, if you will, that we as a city say this is what we expect from our people, and we will not tolerate anything less than that. So we start there. The second thing we do, Donnie, is we go to the root. Okay, again, I guess this is the engineering in me because I want to find solutions, right? The root. And Donnie, I can tell you, let's start with the root. And the root starts with, and if I use my own experience in Cherry Hill, come up being raised in Cherry Hill, there were three types of crimes, right? That when the guys went bad, that typically they fall one of these three paths into crime, right? One was crimes of conflict. Crimes of conflict. Now, what is that? That's what you saw, what we saw, Donnie, in Brooklyn. And as you know, Brooklyn's right next to Cherry Hill. I mean, I remember we had community parties and we got in fights. Now, see, back then, Donnie, we didn't have the access to guns like the kids do today. But we had conflict. But we fight with our hands, right? And maybe a baseball bat. But these guns now are everywhere. So crimes of conflict. Then there are crimes of addiction, Donnie. Of addiction. I can tell you so many of my homeboys in Cherry Hill who got addicted on heroin, right? And not crack wasn't out there when I came through, but alcohol and pills
Hey, tell me
and
one.
sniffing glue.
Tell me about one of them. Tell me about one of your friends. One of them, just one.
Just one? Big Wayne.
Who got strung out. You ain't got to say his name.
I would say his last name. I would just say Big Wayne, right? And he's think, Donnie. So in my group of homeboys in Cherry Hill, I was not the smartest in my group. So there were 10 of us who ran in my gang. I was not the smartest, Donnie. I was probably right in the middle, right? But there were guys like Wayne, Big Wayne, who were brilliant men. But they got caught up in that addiction thing because after the rise of 68, you notice that's when all the drugs began to really proliferate into our community. It became easy to get heroin and get these drugs. And many of us who were dealing with trauma, right? The trauma of being poor, the trauma of being Black in America, they had to find a way to deal with it. And so they turned to drugs. And Big Wayne was one of them. He went to city. Wayne was brilliant, but he got caught in that heroin and it took him down. That's one example, Donnie. And then there's crimes of necessity. And what do I mean by that, Donnie? There are people who need to commit crimes to live. They need money. They need money to feed their kids, to pay the rent. So what do? They turn to methods that are underground methods of earning a living. So as mayor, what I got to do at the root, I got to try to address these areas. How to help people to better manage conflict? How do I use the medical institutions to deal with addiction? And then how do I build an economy that makes it possible for these men, primarily men, right, to earn a living so they can take care of their families, so they're not out there robbing people or breaking into homes. That's the root. Now, Donnie, on the other end of that system is the results. The results. So if you don't deal with the root and you don't have kids who stay in the school system, they're going to fall to the street. When they fall to the street, like many of my homeboys did, they're going to go sideways. They're going to do bad things, and they're going to end up dealing with law enforcement. What I'm going to say is, I'm going to give you everything I can to help you make a choice. However, if you cross the line and you make a decision to take a gun or anything and hurt people, right? If you make it such that the elderly cannot come out of their homes because they feel unsafe, if you're out there on the corner dealing drugs, I'm going to give you every opportunity I can as mayor to make the right choice. But if you cross the line, Donnie, then I got to deal with you that way. And I don't know people who say, well, mass incarceration of Black people, law, defund the police. I get that, Donnie, as a Black man. I get that. And I understand what mass incarceration has done to our community. But on the other hand, my job as mayor, my number one job is to help is to create a safe city, Donnie, where you and your children can live and thrive in safety. That's my number one job. And so what am I going to do when people make a decision to hurt people? I got to come after them. I got to deal with that. But that is a symptom of the root. So I, as the mayor, if I'm doing my job, I got to do both, Donnie. I got to get to the root as best I can. But on the back end of that, I got to make sure that anybody who crosses the line, I've got to hold them accountable.